So in this video, I'm going to show you how to remove coating from an anamorphic lens. Anamorphic lenses were multi-coated. Many of the vintage optics, the higher quality Schneiders and ISCOs, have multiple layers of coating on the lens. You can see where when I reflect it there, you can see my lights. These minimize flaring, and it was ideal for people who were shooting these lenses with their original purpose. They didn't want any additional flaring to be added, but as filmmakers, that's a aesthetic choice that we might want. So it might be helpful for some people to know how to remove this coating so that you can maximize the light bouncing around between the elements as opposed to it just being more sterile. So really all you need to do this is some Cape Cod metal polish. This stuff is for polishing metal, but it does a great job of removing coatings from lenses without damaging the lens itself. This stuff is inexpensive. It never dries out. If it dries out, you just add some water to the cloth and you can just use it again. So it's great for working with these. Or it's also great if you have like little hairline scratches in your optics and they bother you. Usually scratches at this level, they don't affect the image at all, but I mean, if it's deep enough, it might affect flaring or contrast at some point. This is a great way of evening out your coating and removing those scratches. One thing to keep in mind is that unless we take this lens apart, we're only going to be able to do the outside coatings. These optics, there's actually 4 elements in these lenses. 4 lens elements. 2 of them are fused together back here. 2 of them are fused together up front. And we could get at both of them if we disassembled the lens, but just for the purposes of this, I'm just going to show you how to do it with one side of the lens, just so that you can use it for future reference if you want to open it up and try that. So all you have to do is just take the Cape Cod polish. I've wet this cloth a little bit, and just use some muscle, use some elbow grease, and clean off just to see what you're doing. It's important. You'll have to do it for about 10 to 15 minutes. You'll have to do it long enough so that you have an even removal. Sometimes you'll see that it just removes in one spot, not the other. So you just have to do this. You just have to give it good solid buffing, and eventually you will start to see the coating be removed. One thing I would recommend is to have a dry cloth that you use. You could use any cloth. It can just be a microfiber, and then you can just wipe it off and kind of see the progress that you're making. If you look closely, actually already, you can see that we're starting to remove, try to get the reflection here, and maybe you're not going to be able to see it until we're done, but you can see it that you're starting to remove the coating itself. It just takes some time. One thing that you'll notice as you're removing the coating is that you'll start to see some very small, just very micro scratches on the coating that you're removing. That's fine, that's not bad. That's just something that's just part of the removal here. That'll all go away once you've completed the process. I moved the camera over here just so we can get a better, we can take a better look at the coating being removed. So as you can see, it's really starting to lose its purple sheen, the original purple coating that was on it. That really helps improve your flares and gives you just a better, more anamorphic aesthetic. You can kind of see, I don't know, it's pretty hard to see in the light, but you can definitely see it on in person. You can see that coating just start to rub away. Again, this takes a good 10-15 minutes of work. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't look like it's coming off. It gets there. Just a lot of thick coatings on these old lenses. It's very high quality. It just, for our purposes, we just want to make sure that we get it evenly off. You can still see some of the purple reflection by this point. That's from the inner lens coating. So again, if you want to go up and open your anamorphic, it's all different, but usually there are screws at the base. Here there are screws, and you pull this off, there's other screws under there. You just want to make sure that if you do that, you have to get alignment perfectly when you replace the element, otherwise you'll have astigmatism in the optics. So they have to be, this element has to be perfectly aligned to this element here, otherwise you will have issues with your anamorphic. It'll be out of focus, it'll be impossible to focus. So if you do that, just keep in mind and give yourself the patience and ability to realign that perfectly vertically so that you don't have any issues. So I'm really starting to see the coating be removed here. Just I'll give this a cleaning with alcohol to make sure that it's 100% clean and done. But you can really see the amount of reflections has increased. That'll cause a lot more flaring, give us a lot more of internal reflections for our anamorphic. So just maybe a good 5 minutes and this will be all good to go. So I've pretty much got the coating removed here. I just wanted to show a difference. It's very hard to see with the actual camera, but with your eye it's much easier. If you can see here, you can see that purple tinge on the lens to the right. This is a stock lens with my clamp built onto it. This is the one that I've been working on. So you can see that the removal of the coating makes a definite difference, and especially in camera with lens testing, you can see a big difference from removing the coating. So that's all. Make sure that you use Cape Cod polish. Make sure that you give yourself enough time, about 10-15 minutes, to completely remove the coatings. And if you want a complete decoating, then you will have to remove the elements and do both sides, front and back, of both the front and the rear elements of your anamorphic. But hopefully this helped, and hopefully this makes a big difference in the way that your lenses look.